What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And what you have today in front of you is the brand new tier list for the month of March 2023. So, well, this is actually last month's tier list. We are going to be making some slight changes between the months, of course. And with this, there's the introduction of a few new characters. Of course, we have Perospero, which debuted during the Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest. Yeah, it was a Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest. 6+ dog and cat, man. What a phenomenal unit. We'll talk more about them later. As well as the introduction of the Global Anniversary exclusive Ace and Luffy. And then a brand new batch of level limit breaks, which may or may not make the character a bit more viable. So we'll talk more about them in just a moment. But before we jump into the tier list, we need to talk about my criteria. So the criteria that I use generally to rank these characters against each other, we look at the power of the unit, so how much damage are they able to output, how fast are they at clearing content, and how reliable are they at clearing that said content, and is there content in the game that that character cannot clear due to the effects of the unit. You know, some units are just straight up restricted from beating content due to their design. And also, how usable or versatile are these units, because characters that can be injected into teams where they're not even fully boosted obviously means that character is more valuable overall. They've got a more valuable special or a unique effect in their captain that makes them desirable to use in content. With all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into editing last month's tier list here. So there are a lot of characters here in this tier that, like, are just in the pool of leftover characters that definitely could be bumped up into this tier list, no doubt in my mind. But generally speaking, the bottom of the tier list isn't that important, and obviously things get a little bit shaky towards the top. That's where the real opinions come out, of course. There isn't really much I really want to say. There's nothing in this pool of characters that really stands out, like, oh my god, this unit is god tier, because, like, nothing really here really shouts out, you know, that these units are going to be super OP. There's a couple of units, of course, that are very nice, and especially some of these units that do have level limit breaks makes them, you know, more usable in content. But as for right now, nothing really too crazy. But up in tier 5, nothing really stands out once again in terms of a unit that should be bumped up or bumped down or anything like that. Like, it just seems fine. I mean, like, the Katakuris are like whatever, Brook is kind of whatever. Like, I don't really feel comfortable, like, making pinpoint exact changes that, you know, drastically change the list, because it is only tier 5. I'm not really too worried about that. Let's move on to tier 4 though. So with tier 4, we've got characters like Who's Who, Luffy, Sanji. To be honest, Luffy, Sanji should probably get bumped down. They're just... no one likes using Luffy, Sanji. Even on release, a lot of people were very wishy-washy, I suppose, towards Luffy and Sanji. Their design was just very weird, and the fact that Goldie Roger debuted a month prior, or like 2 months prior to his release, it's like, you know, why even bother pulling for this unit, right? As for the characters in the rest of the tier, yeah, I mean, like, these characters don't see too much play. This Sanji is actually pretty good. He's not too bad, but, I mean, he's a Sanji. There's lots of Sanjis in the game, so there is a bit of overlap, of course. Let's move up to tier 3. Looking at this, there's already a character I can see immediately that I do want to bump up, and it's honestly Legend Chopper. I think Legend Chopper should be a little bit higher. The utility effect of this unit has been so good in, like, all these treasure maps over the past couple of months. He's been boosted, and he's just been so good for them. He's always used, so he has to be up there, right? In terms of where I would put him, in terms of how much I actually use him, I use him a lot more than I thought. I actually want to bump him a whole tier up to the top of tier 2. He's just really strong. But then we look below that, we've got Legend Carrot, which is still good speed farming. Blackbeard, I like his kit. Moria isn't as good anymore. I kind of want to bump Moria probably around this tier, because I do feel like, you know, Stampede Luffy and Douglas Bullet, just in terms of what they can do, I think they're actually a little bit more valuable. The rest of the characters are kind of whatever. I mean, Super Tender Sengoku, I feel bad for him, man, because he's such a cool character, and his Super Tandem is so good. But man, they really ruined his kit. Like, his kit, with a few tweaks, can really make him a top tier unit, but unfortunately not the case. Let's move up to tier 2 though. In terms of characters that are in this tier that need to be bumped up or bumped down, Super Tandem Big Mom needs to go up. I think she's one of the better units for sure. Like, the more I've used her, the more impressed I've kind of been with her. On initial release, definitely wasn't very fun to use because it didn't make a lot of sense with what we had. But since New Year's, like, and using her, she's been a very welcome surprise to our accounts, to be honest. And unfortunately, last month's release of Whitebeard, while yes, very good in content where he receives cooldown, generally speaking, in normal content, Whitebeard is not going to be a desirable unit. It is what it is. He's very difficult to use in Clash, arenas, Colosseums, that type of content. But obviously Turtle Farm with cooldown, or Kizuna with cooldown, just anything that he gets fully charged at the start of the quest, he's like absolutely bonkers for. We got Whitebeard versus Shanks. This unit doesn't see too much play. I kind of want to bump them a little bit below that. I think Kid probably should be a little bit higher than where he is right now. He probably should be the top of tier 2 at a minimum, to be honest. Super Tan and Blackbeard has actually been super good over the past few months. And then I think I want to bump Katakuri a little bit higher than the Kuzan. I just feel like Katakuri has a really nice kit, to be honest. Let's move on to tier 1. So Doflamingo is here, and yeah, he's got a really nice effect in his captain to resist Special Bind. But if you're building a driven team, there's a lot of other units you would use over this guy, to be honest. So I kind of want to bump him down as well. Probably in between here. Jinbei, he's a Psy Fighter powerhouse captain. But look, if you're running any of those teams, you're probably not using him as a captain. And his special is really wonky too, where you get Chain Boundary, but if you already have a Chain Lock, you get an attack boost instead. It just should have been both on activation. I mean, like, we have this Crocodile, which literally does both in his special launch, and then we have a unit that releases, like, over a year later, and he only does one of the two things, which is just very, very odd. So he definitely needs to be bumped down. Let's put him probably around this level here. He does have some unique stuff in his captain, though, being able to immediately at the start of the quest put up damage nullification. It is really, really cool, but of course if you take a hit you get it removed, so stalling could be a problem with this unit. I think Shirahoshi Manchiri probably should be bumped down. She just doesn't see as much play as what she once did, so I feel like around here is fine. Hiyori probably should be a little bit higher than where she's currently placed. I'll put her above Hina for now, and that seems pretty good. I mean, Rob and Jinbei probably need to be a bit higher as well. Yeah, that seems pretty good to me. This Zor, he's so weird because he's actually not bad in like Super Boss Kizuna situations, but in normal content, like this Zor is like just kind of eh. I'm not the biggest fan of this Zor, to be honest. Let's move on up to tier 0. We've got a lot of characters in here. Like, these are really top tier units though. Like, this is the top echelon. We might as well just show the top 5 while we're here too. Like, this is the top echelon. This is as good as it gets, right? Toki, I haven't been really using as much, and of course there is the recent bug that occurred where characters that require you to select certain characters on your crew, if you have a support on them that triggers on launch or has a triggering support, then it actually negates these effects from working. I don't know if they've actually patched that out yet, but suffice it to say that I think that Toki is still good, but I don't know. I don't really use her that much, to be honest. Ace and Sabo is still really good in a lot of Grand Voyages. There's a really good kit overall, good captain ability, good special, good swap. They're just solid overall. Final Tap Luffy, big fan of this unit since his release, because in last month's tier list, I put him on the list just judging from his kit through reading it, but now that we have actually access to this unit and being able to use him, I'm a big fan. I think he's actually very, very good. And honestly, I don't want to move his position. I think I ranked him relatively fine, honestly. The waifus are good. Kid has been getting better and better as time progresses with the more introductions of strikers and driven characters. Kid just gets better and better. Robin is still solid. Becky Rue, absolutely love them. K-Dad, I want to bump a little lower. I haven't really wanted to use this character that much over the past couple of weeks. They're fine, they're perfectly okay, but running only Mono Slasher with them is their big drawback. Like, Mono Slasher is not the best out there. I mean, I tried to use them in content recently, and yeah, it's just wonky building with just slashes alone. Rayleigh Gaban, I really love. They've been awesome since using them, to be honest. I feel comfortable with the rest of these positions, to be honest. Do I want to change the top 5 at all? To be honest, like, Nami is super good, and she's been good in a lot of content recently. She was really nice in the treasure map, and she's always good in treasure map, really. And just any time you have to deal with like a mass amount of Rainbow Shield, Resilience, 5 turns of Threshold, if you have to deal with any of those things, Nami's the captain, you're good to go. And then if there's paralysis along the way, it just makes Nami even better than what she already is. She's just a god tier unit, dude. To be honest, I actually don't think this needs to change. Although one thing that I probably would do is I think that Super Tandem Luffy might be a little bit better than Kaido versus Yamato. I think that the Super Tandem that this unit can provide is a little bit more valuable than what, you know, you can get with Yamato. And look, this is just coming from the perspective of a player that doesn't have a lot of friends on their friends list that has Yamato at level 5. I don't have Yamato at level 5 either for her super tandem. And a lot of the time when you are trying to, get access to these super tandems to get the most amount of damage possible, Nami's super tandem is just better, right? Because you can get the ability to increase your conditional boosts. With her and Robin buffing both conditionals by 0.5 is absurd, along with an attack boost that can stack on top of it. It's just crazy. And then Uta, because this is including all variations of the unit, so being able to boost Cerebral, Shooters, Driven, Powerhouse, whatever you need. Obviously the Driven Powerhouse version of the unit is not as desirable, but having Cerebral Striker, Cerebral Shooter, both of those units and their captain abilities, utility captains, multiple turns of attack and orb boost that is uninterruptible, which is just absurd. The only real bad thing, I guess, about Uta is that she doesn't have a lot of good supports. And, I mean, there's not many that you can really put on her that are amazing, but there's a couple out there for sure. But I think for now, I feel pretty comfortable with the current list of characters. Okay, so let's talk about some of these new characters and new buffs. So we'll talk about the level limit breaks first. We got Sabo coming up. Sabo's kind of interesting, where now he has an effect where if he attacks with a Dex or a Tandem slot, you get a conditional boost against Ignite, and then he applies Ignite with his special attack boost, chain boost. He didn't actually change that much aside from the ability to Ignite, get the Ignite conditional boost, really. In a lot of cases, you're not going to use him as the captain, because remember, these types of units don't get access to super types or super classes, which is a big drawback, obviously, because they don't get that additional special. And plus, with super type and super class, you get inherent damage increasing effects. So these characters don't get access to that. It really brings down their power level. They are still going to be very good in like Grand Voyages or potential Garp challenges if you're still wanting to do that. I do think that Sabo, in terms of what he does with his kit, is still actually pretty solid. I kind of want to put him like at around the top-ish of tier 4. Like, yeah, a lot of these units like that have super types or just have crazy OP abilities are just better, but Sabo's still okay. The one after that is Nami, and she was a pretty underwhelming level limit break, and her abilities are still pretty good, but in terms of what she received with her buffs, they were very, very low tier compared to some other level limit breaks that we have in the game. And to be honest, I don't really want to put her super high. I feel like just above Orochi is like completely fair for what this unit does. She's a Nami, so there is overlap with other Namis that could potentially happen. Nami has a couple of okay supports, but I will say that Nami actually probably does need a little bit more support. Like, it's surprising to hear, but she actually doesn't have a single support unit that attaches to her that removes bind, which is really surprising for a Straw Hat unit, right? It's pretty crazy. Next level limit break is Pudding. Now, this is another unit that really didn't receive like a lot of changes, but the changes they gave her were very intriguing. So previously it was like 2-turn bind despair removal, but now they made it 3 turns, which is great, and it makes the unit that you store, or the buff that you store with her special, when you use the secondary special to reapply the buff, it actually lasts for 2 turns. So even if you have a 1-turn buff that you've copied, like let's say it's a 4 times attack boost, right? You can copy the 4 times attack boost, and even if that buff originally was for 1 turn, when you use the special to reapply it, it's 2 turns instead. The captain ability obviously is a lot better. So, like, her buffs are just solid. Like, Pudding is still a really good unit. I kind of want to put her in tier 3, honestly. Probably, I think in terms of usability, she's actually going to see a lot of play. I think she's actually really, really good. Next is Komurasaki. This one was a really intriguing change, where now with her special, she changes int slots into Wano, which is very cool, and with her captain ability, she makes them appear more often, but once again, this is a unit that doesn't have super type or super class, which really sucks. So, look, she's definitely going to see a lot more play as a sub, and she is actually pretty good against one of the Grand Voyages that require you to use int and slashes, for sure. I do think that just on her own merits in normal content, she's definitely going to be usable, getting a 2.5 orb boost and a 2.25 attack boost, or one of the two. It's either switch, whatever it is. And of course, her pre-evolution received the buffs as well. I think that she's definitely going to see more play than the Sabo, so I honestly want to put her in this tier here. Probably just around Frankie level. I feel comfortable with that in terms of how often she might see play. The Wano slots are actually a very big deal. Now, the last character with level limit break, well, actually there's two. There's going to be Boa Hancock, and I think that she definitely deserves to make it on the list. I don't think she'll be high on the list, but she's on the list nonetheless. The main component about Boa is the utility effect, where if the enemy is delayed, or has the Mellow or Love effect, then you can get 6 turn removal of like Threshold and Rainbow Shield, I believe it is. So that's awesome, right? Good utility, and then color affinity to Free Spirit. Like, she's fine, but once again, no super type or super class. And then the last character is Capone, and this is again another unit that really didn't receive a lot of changes. They just made him, I believe it was like more matching slots and a bigger attack boost, and the captain ability is just slightly better. Like, it's not a big change, but shooters and driven, pretty good class combination that you can boost with. So I kind of want to put him like maybe the bottom-ish of tier 4. He's definitely better than Lucci, no doubt. He's probably around this level, to be honest. Like, Capone can do some pretty cool stuff, like good healing mechanics. Big Father's a really broken mechanic if you can use it effectively. So the level limit breaks weren't the best ones that we're really excited for. Really very much looking forward to the new units, of course. So we've come to that time where we can now discuss the brand new units that are coming into the game. So we have Perospero debuting during the Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest. Dude, this unit is crazy, and this is a unit that I don't have just yet. Would love to get my hands on this unit. Perospero has such a unique special. The first character in the game to do slot change impossible, but for hitting perfects. Meaning that if you can somehow generate a full board of beneficial slots, after using the special of Perospero, you can put them in a barrier, and the only way to remove it is to hit a great. So it means if you can consistently land those perfects, you are going to be able to keep your slots forever. And the only way that it can be removed is if the enemy removes your beneficial effects. I believe that does change slot change impossible, like it does remove it. But in terms of what his special does, it does a really good chain boundary, it does a health cut, it does like -2 cooldown to, I think it's Striker and Driven. His captain ability, very solid, being able to resist 10 turns of special reverse, good HP boost, good attack boost. I believe there's matching slots as well, and a super class that's somewhat easy to fulfill. You need 6 strikers on the crew in order to do it, but you also get the ability to change, I think it's type slots into matching, which can fulfill the ability for his special to keep those slots forever, but also the ability to apply -30% resistance for your strikers, which is very powerful, just getting a 1.3 bonus boost. This is a character I can see like seeing a lot of play. Being able to apply that resistance, it's a big resistance buff, as well as that special being so unique. I don't think it's that much of a surprise that I want to put him up high. I think for right now, I kind of want to put him like at the top of tier 1. I think that he definitely should be probably around a tier 0. I'm going to put him at the top of tier 1, but like on the cusp of being a tier 0. We may have to re-explore this as we move forward into next month's list, but Perospero, in terms of what he does on paper, has me excited. I think that he's a very solid Sugo Fest exclusive. Next on the list is 6+ Dogstorm and Cat Viper, the first dual unit to receive a super evolution. I'm not even going to beat around the bush with this character. I think that this character is a tier 0 level character. I'm just so surprised with the straight up buffs that they gave this unit. When you use this character in normal content, I think it's very, very clear to see that they are the best captain in terms of speed farming. They allow you to get cooldowns so freaking fast, and the ability with their captain to grant like -2 cooldown, but then -2 to themselves, and then when you reach battle 3, you get a further -2 cooldown. And if you're running double captains, you're receiving all of these cooldowns, and it's just wild. Obviously, this unit does only boost Cerebral Slasher, Striker, Powerhouse, so it boosts half of the classes in the game, which is not that bad. The other big thing is their switch ability is now insane. The Super Swap granting a full board of slots, removing 4 turns of paralysis, removing their own despair and stuff like that. Like, it's really, really cool stuff. And then the orb boosting mechanic, which is huge. And then their special, oh my god, when you use the super switch and the special in the same turn, getting attack boost, orb boost with their swap, of course, color affinity. You get the defense down conditional boost if you already have an orb boost activated, and then if you hit perfect, you get another orb boost in the next turn. Like, this unit can do so much by themselves. You can have like these 2 units as your 2 captains, and then have a bunch of utility based subs just due to the raw damage that you can get from this unit alone. This is how we want to see super evolutions done in 2023. I'm a big fan of this unit, and I think as of right now, I do want to put them above Ace and Akainu. I rate this character very highly, and this is a character that I can definitely see like being used in a lot of content. Another thing I didn't even mention is they removed 6 turns of attack down and chain reduction as well, just because why not? Another big thing about Dog and Cat is they have access to very good supports, especially with the introduction of Wano, because when Dog and Cat first came out, Wano wasn't even in the anime yet, but the characters from Wano, like the other Scabbards, Odins, Momos, Hioris, anyone in that fashion in relation to them, give them really good support, so I'm a big fan of Dog and Cat. Next on the list is going to be Super Tandem Ace from the Anniversary, and this guy's really cool, and there is a bit of a caveat with this unit though, is that I am a little bit pissed off that he's not a shooter captain. Well, yes, he is a shooter, and he boosts a lot of the good shooter characters due to them, a lot of the good ones being Quick and Psy and stuff like that. The fact that he doesn't boost shooter is just kind of bizarre to me, because when you read the rest of the kit, his Super Tandem boosts Psy, Quick, and shooters. His special, if you already have a chain boost active, will give base attack boost to Psy, Quick, and shooters. So what's the deal, man? Why doesn't he boost shooters as a captain? It would have been a huge addition to the unit. Despite that, I'm a big fan of this unit. I think Ace is very solid. Captain ability wise, there's no utility effect. It's mainly just, I believe it's cooldown, attack boost, HP boost, and matching slots, right? And he has a really cool effect as well, where if you have at least one quick unit on the team, which is not that difficult to do, you also get the additional chain boost. I think it's a 0.3 chain boost in his captain, so that's really cool. If you're on double Ace, you're getting an additional 0.6 to the chain every single turn. It is just really, really neat. And then the special having the really cool chain effect, it's a damage dealing special, which we love to see. The 1.5 times chain multiply boost for 3 turns you can carry over multiple stages, but also the really unique effect of however much chain you had during the turn of activation, you carry over 20% of that chain into the next stage. And I think that kind of mechanic could be used in a lot of really random types of specials moving forward into the future. Like, what if we have a unit that whatever attack boost you had in the previous stage, you carry over a certain multiplier of it into the next stage that can stack on whatever you do? I think something like that is probably going to happen during the year, so I could see that happening. I think it opens the doors to some very interesting character design. His Super Tandem is busted, by the way, and with his Super Tandem at level 5, I do think that this unit is an absolute beast. Being able to activate it with just 2 taps of characters. He can attack with, Ace, plus Garp, Luffy, Yamato, Sabo, one of his crew members. This unit's really solid. I think from what I have experienced thus far with the brand new Ace, I think he is a tier 0 character. I think he's better than Luffy. I think he's more usable than K-Dad. But I think at the moment I'm going to leave him here. I don't want to bump him up super, super high and then have to draw him back. I feel comfortable with this position right now. I feel the characters are above him are probably units that are a little bit better overall, while Ace is going to be probably really good in Super Boss Kizuna. I'm just excited to use him more. He seems very, very intriguing. The last character that we're talking about in this video is going to be the Global Anniversary Luffy. Not the design that we were expecting for a character such as this. A very odd way to design a unit. The way that he works is you have to stall, or every time you beat a unit, defeat a unit, you are increasing this accumulated value that is like an invisible value that is stored in his captain. And the more you stall, or the more you kill enemies, the buffed his captain ability will go. So after you get to 10 and then 20 and then 30 of this infinite value, of this invisible value, he does get quite powerful. At max potential, being a 5.5 captain, 20% damage reduction, recovery tandem beneficial, removing 10 turns of bind and paralysis, it can get pretty crazy, right? But that's the thing, is that you have to either do a lot of stall or you have to kill a lot of enemies. And in short form content, you're not going to be killing a lot of enemies, or if you want to get it, you're going to have to stall for quite a while. So that's the only drawback really to Luffy, is the stalling that you'll have to do in order to get the insane utility in his captain. But saying that, if you are able to do that, this unit is legitimately crazy. His superclass effect is interesting, -2 cooldown to your characters and extending chain buffs, I believe, by 2 turns. That's really cool, actually. I like that. It's a very unique super type effect, or superclass effect, should we say. And then Luffy's special, being able to remove 7 turns of despair and attack down, that's cool in and of itself, but also applying an orb boost for 5 turns and then giving you a perfect buff, but then if you hit the perfect buff, in the next turn, you get another perfect buff, where every time you are successfully hitting those perfects, you're increasing a chain multiplicative buff, and then on the 3rd turn, you can buff your orb boost up to 2.75. So that's kind of cool. And I think that there could be uses for him in the future, like potentially if there is another type of orb boost that you can have, and then buff it up by an additional 0.5, but it's not Luffy's orb boost and it's another orb boost. Like, I think that could be kind of cool. Another thing about Luffy is that, of course, he has like access to the best supports in the game, so that's really cool. But when we compare this unit to Ace, for example, I feel like this Luffy will not see as much play due to the defensive nature of the way that you have to play this unit. But as I said, if there is a lot of difficult content that ends up releasing, then yes, this unit is going to be amazing due to the utility captain. But due to the way that you have to play this unit, he just doesn't fit with the current content that we normally receive. And like, for example, he might be useful in the upcoming treasure map, but of course, you know, you're not going to be able to get the max potential of his captain. So that is the drawback there. I think Luffy's very good though. I think on paper, if you use him correctly, he can be very, very good. I think as of right now, I want to put him just above the Anniversary Zoro, because I feel like these will probably see the same amount of play, where yeah, Zoro are really good in like certain circumstances. Luffy will be the same. Like Luffy, you can definitely use him, but he's not going to be like amazing in every single circumstance. He's just like kind of an okay unit, right? So we'll have to wait and see how things go. As of the recording of this video, this is right before the Blitz battle has gone live. I assume that Luffy is going to be very good for the Blitz battle, so we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to wrap it up for our tier list for March of 2023. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I'm that guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.